All right, folks. Good morning. As we know, it's First Tuesday, and I've got a very dapper gentleman over. Oh, let's go this way, Mr. Cameron Herold, and I'm going to be bringing him in very shortly. Start asking your questions down on the side so I can get this ready, but this is going to be very organic. We're going to have a fireside chat, and I am going to hold this up because this is awesome. Cameron, thanks a lot for coming on to the tribe for a start. I appreciate you being here.
Hi, man. You're welcome. It's nice to see you again.
And you're in Vancouver at the moment, is that correct?
I am, yeah. I split my time between Scottsdale, Arizona, where I'm based, and then Vancouver, Canada, where I'm probably half time as well.
All right. So if we could get a quick, an elevator pitch on who you are, what you are. I've mentioned the 1-800 Get Job, but let's give us a roundabout of who Cameron Herold is.
Sure. So I started an organization called the COO Alliance, which is the only network of its kind in the world for the second in command. You need 5 million in revenue to get into that. That's what I'm focusing on. I'm an author. I've written 5 books, of which one you held up, and we can talk about some of those if they come up. I've done paid speaking events now in 28 countries on 6 continents. And I'm well known for building really strong world-class cultures inside of organizations. So 13 years ago next week, I left a company called 1-800 Got Junk that I was the COO of. And I took them from 14 employees at the head office when I joined. We had 3,100 employees system-wide when I left 6.5 years later. But that was the 4th company that I'd built. So I was groomed as an entrepreneur. I owned my first real company with 12 employees when I was 21. And then I've been coaching and mentoring real companies. I started coaching entrepreneurs back in 1989. So 31 years ago, before coaching was really a thing, I was coaching entrepreneurs.
Oh, that's a good little snapshot. Do you know, I tried thinking about it this morning as I was knocking up my cappuccino. We've known each other for, well, it's got to be like 6 years or something, isn't it?
6 or 7 years. I think we met, I don't know if it was the first or second Mastermind Talks event we met at, or Genius Network Mastermind Talks.
I blur. I don't know whether it was Joe Polish or Jason Gaynard where we actually kind of like met each other, but we bumped into each other a ton of times. And
I think we might have met at Genius Network and then spent time since then at the Mastermind Talks with Jason Gaynard. But
all right, okay, it's been a while. Yeah. And then a few years ago, you were on my first. I don't know if that was your first trip, but you were on my ever first trip to prison up at Kern. Was that the first time you had gone?
It's the first time. It was the only time I've gone so far, and I really want to do another event at that. I've got to reach out to Kat and get one booked once we open up for visitors.
Yeah.
But that was a mind-blowing, profound life experience for me. It was amazing. I know you've talked a lot about it, and I've done some videos about it. It was a life-changing experience.
Yeah, I remember the pair of us walking out, and I don't think I've walked as far because it's a long walk when you go out through all of the different gates. And I remember the pair of us just walking out side by side in silence. It's a heavy moment. So if none of you have ever done the prison event, as you know, apart from this coronavirus, I go 3 times a year up to Kern. It's a level 4 maximum prison. So you're not up there for getting a speeding ticket. If you want to change your life, impact others, and really realize how wealthy you are, then let me know. Come along with me on the next one. But I appreciate you going. But I want to do value for the people that are listening to this. And you're strange. Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs, myself included, that are great visionaries. We want to do this. We're going to do this. And then what we do is we have to get people behind us that action it. Yeah. You're one of those very rare people that has the vision and then actually builds a plan into it. And there's not a lot of those around. So you're almost like a schizophrenic in that sense.
I am. And I know I actually had to do some digging to figure that one out because I have always been an entrepreneur, but I've also played the second in command role 3 times. And my first real entrepreneurial journey, I was a franchisee for 3 years. So I had a house painting company from a group called College Pro Painters. And then I ended up on the senior executive team of College Pro, opened up the West Coast of the United States for them and oversaw 120 of their franchises. So because I was inside of a franchise network where it was all about following systems, following procedures, getting leverage, putting simple to execute systems in place, I started to think like an operator inside of a very entrepreneurial organization. And I think that gave me that skill set. And then because I joined 3 entrepreneurs to help them scale their companies, I was able to think like them and scale it. but my skill set usually breaks down to around the 100 million mark. When you get to around, we had at 1-800-GOT-JUNK as an example, 248 people at the head office, 3,100 system-wide, operating in 4 countries, 330 cities, 13 operating businesses. It got fucking big. And for me, that's about my breaking point. Whereas the woman they replaced me with, a year later, they found my replacement. They brought in the former president of Starbucks US, and she walked in and said, "Wow, what a cute little company." So and I'm like, fuck, it's so big. So I really understood the zone that I play well in. And I think that's really key for an entrepreneur as well, is to know the sandbox that we're good in and stay away from the stuff we suck at. And the school system messed a lot of us up. They told us to work on our weaknesses. What I do now is I just avoid my weaknesses and I stay within the zone I'm really good in.
That's fantastic, but there's a characteristic that makes you even stranger. Not many entrepreneurs can be second in control or second in charge, and that's where you sit. That's where you shine.
Well, and I did, and it was probably because I also felt like the company was mine. So the first one that I did it with was, let's say College Pro Painters. I wore a gold 3-inch paintbrush around my neck. I got to oversee all these amazing franchisees. I got to open the West Coast of the United States. I was the figurehead. Kimball Musk, Elon's brother, reported to me, and his cousin who built Solar City. Like, I was the guy, right? And I was the #1 general manager that year out of all of them in North America. So I was the guy. So I took pride in being a part of that, even though I didn't own the company. And then I did the auto body business, but I was the one out running it and pulling it and building the franchising group. And then Terry, my business partner, and Brock were running the corporate location. So I was, the guy in the franchising side. So in each case, and then even at 1-800-GOT-JUNK, I got to do so many of the speaking events and talk to the media, and I was the culture guy. And because it was really the 4th company, everyone was looking at me for direction. So I was the COO, and I love the brand. I wore the brand on my back. So I don't know what it is. I think I'm very high in affiliation. I love to be a part of a group. And if I'm a part of the group, I take that group on as part of my identity. So maybe that filled me as the COO, where I didn't need to be the CEO, because I so heavily identified with the group, which is maybe why I love the Genius Network and why I love Mastermind Talks, is I can be a part of that and I can take ownership in helping to grow that. I feel like I feel like it's mine as well, which is a weird trait.
No, well, you're a weird person all around. We can see that by the shirt. But all right, let's get into it. We are in a strange time today. And we've got a lot of people out there that own their businesses, are senior within their businesses, and we've still got the need to get out there. Now, I heard something, and I actually smashed it the other day. I actually made a statement that so many people are actually trying to recoil now and trying to pull away from advertising and pull away from marketing and pull away from branding. This is the time you should be doing it threefold. And so let's go over some basics. If you are an entrepreneur out there, and we know that the money may not be coming in at the same kind of brute force that it was before, how should we be getting our name out there? How should we be marketing, branding, and getting this PR?
Well, one is that marketing is cheaper than it's been for the last 10 years. So one of my clients, bigger business, but he spends $5 million a year on marketing. He went out to the radio stations, TV stations, billboard companies, bus companies, digital marketing firms, and renegotiated for the next 12 months and got 30 to 80% more traffic or impressions or visibility or billboard space across every outlet, 30 to 80% more for the same amount of money. That's not a bad deal. So, worst case scenario, you could cut your spend down and probably still get the same number of impressions. What I like doing is what you said. I like to spend what I was spending, or even spend a little bit more. If you're in a brand building game, like let's say that you own a dry cleaning company, or you own an electrical contractor, you're in the business for the next 10 years. Build your brand in your niche, in your market, in your area, and keep building that. So you can't pull you can't pull back on marketing right now.
So how do we do it though?
Can't pull back on training. This is a great time to be training your people right now too.
But if people have got a company and they've spent, for argument's sake, say a year. Let's say, for argument's sake, we've got the entrepreneur that last year decided, right, I'm going out on my own, and then they just start to get into like third gear, and then March hits. So they haven't got the $5 million, but they do need to be getting out there for the branding and marketing and get people to quite simply see them as an authority. How should they be doing it?
Well, one way around PR, there's